Hey everyone, welcome back to Everyday English Lounge. I'm Avery.
And I'm Chloe, and today we're taking a little trip down memory lane.
Oh no, are we getting nostalgic again?
We absolutely are. We're talking about school days. You know, classes, homework, all that fun stuff we used to complain about, but secretly kind of miss.
Speak for yourself. I definitely don't miss algebra homework.
Oh my God, algebra? Don't even get me started. But let's start with the good stuff first. What was your favorite subject back in school?
Okay, so this might sound weird, but I actually loved English class. Like, not just because it was easy for me, but because, I don't know, there was something about analyzing stories and writing essays that just clicked, you know?
That's not weird at all.
And our teacher, Mrs. Patterson, she had this way of making even Shakespeare seem relevant. Like, she'd connected to modern movies and TV shows, and suddenly Romeo and Juliet wasn't just some old play.
Right.
It was like teen drama with fancy language.
Oh, that's perfect. I love teachers like that. For me, it was definitely science, but not like the boring memorization stuff. I was all about the experiments. Like, I remember this one time in chemistry, we were making these little volcanoes with baking soda and vinegar.
Classic.
And I got so excited that I added way too much of everything, and it just exploded all over my lab partner. Poor Jessica. She was covered in this gross, foamy mess.
Oh no, did you get in trouble?
Actually, no. Mr. Rodriguez just laughed and said, "Well, now you know what happens when you don't follow measurements." It was like the perfect teaching moment, you know?
That's awesome. But okay, let's be honest here. What about the subjects we absolutely hated?
Oh, God, here we go.
Math. Just all of it. I mean, I could handle basic stuff, but once they started throwing letters into equations, like X and Y and what was that other one? Z?
Algebra.
Yes, I couldn't wrap my head around it. Like, why can't numbers just be numbers? Why do we need to make them mysterious?
Oh my God, I know exactly what you mean. For me, though, it was history, not because it was boring. Actually, some of it was pretty interesting, but because our teacher, Mr. Williams, he made everything about memorizing dates.
Ugh, the worst.
Like, the Civil War started on this exact date, ended on this exact date, this battle happened here. I'm like, okay, but what about the people? What about why it mattered? You know what I mean?
Totally. It's like history should be stories, not just a bunch of numbers to memorize.
Exactly. But speaking of memorizing, let's talk about homework. Oh boy, where do I even start with homework?
I have so many feelings about homework. Like, on one hand, I get it. Practice makes perfect and all that. But on the other hand, did they really need to give us 3 hours worth every single night?
Right? And it's like they all assumed their class was the only one we were taking. Math teacher gives you 2 hours of problems. English teacher wants a 5-page essay. Science teacher assigns a whole lab report.
And don't forget about the projects.
Oh, God, the projects. I actually didn't mind those as much because at least they were creative. But the timing was always terrible. Like, they'd assign this huge project and give you 2 weeks, but those 2 weeks would be right when every other teacher was also assigning major stuff.
Yes, it's like they all had some secret meeting where they decided to make our lives miserable at the exact same time.
But you know what? I actually have some good memories of homework too. Not the homework itself, but studying with friends. Remember how we used to make these study groups?
Oh yeah. Though, let's be honest, how much actual studying got done?
Okay, fair point. We'd start with the best intentions, you know? All right, guys, we're gonna crush this chemistry test. And then 5 minutes later, we're talking about, I don't know, who likes who, or some TV show, or planning what we're gonna do on the weekend.
But sometimes it actually worked. I remember this one time we were all struggling with this English assignment. We had to analyze some poem and none of us could figure out what it meant. And we're all sitting there like, is this about death, love, nature? What is this guy even talking about? But then Sarah, do you remember Sarah from our class? She just suddenly goes, oh, what if it's about growing up and losing innocence?
Oh, yeah. Sarah was always good at that stuff.
And suddenly it all clicked. Like we could see all these connections we hadn't noticed before. That moment when you finally understand something, it's pretty great.
That's actually one of the things I miss about school. Those little aha moments, like you're struggling with something for days, and then suddenly, boom, it makes sense.
Yes, though I have to say some of my favorite school memories weren't even about the academic stuff, like lunch breaks, hanging out between classes.
Oh my God, lunch breaks. Okay, can we talk about cafeteria food for a second? Because that was something else.
It was so bad, it was almost impressive. Like, how do you make pizza taste like cardboard? It's pizza!
I know, but honestly, I think that just made us more creative. Like, we'd bring our own lunches and trade stuff. I'll give you my cookies for your chips, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, the lunch economy. I was always trying to trade away whatever weird healthy stuff my mom packed.
Actually, speaking of cafeteria food, do you remember the desserts? Like, the food was terrible, but somehow the cookies were always not bad. Your mom was ahead of her time with that quinoa salad thing she used to make.
She really was. I mean, now I actually like quinoa, but back then, I would have traded that for anything, even cafeteria pizza.
Exactly. Strategic dessert timing was like an art form. But you know what else I miss? All the extracurricular stuff. Were you in any clubs or sports back then?
I tried out for the basketball team freshman year, and let's just say that didn't go well. I was way too short and not nearly coordinated enough. But I did join the debate club later, which was actually really fun once I got over my fear of public speaking.
Debate club? That's so cool. I always wanted to try that, but I was way too nervous. I was more of a theater kid. Started out just doing backstage stuff, painting sets, organizing props. But by junior year, I actually got brave enough to audition for some small parts.
Wait, really? I had no idea you did theater. What shows did you do? Please tell me one of them was the classic high school production of Grease or something equally cheesy.
Oh my God, how did you know? It was Grease, my senior year. I played one of the Pink Ladies, not Sandy, obviously, but one of the ensemble girls. And yes, it was every bit as cheesy as you'd expect, but also kind of magical, like all those weeks of rehearsal, everyone working together, the opening night nerves. There was something really special about it.
That sounds amazing. You know, talking about school productions, do you remember all the school dances? Like homecoming, winter formal, prom? That was such a whole thing back then.
Oh, wow, yeah. The drama around asking someone to prom was like intense. And the dress shopping. I remember spending weeks looking for the perfect dress, trying on what felt like hundreds of them. My mom was so patient, driving me to every mall within a 50-mile radius.
And the guys had it so much easier. Like rent a tux, buy a corsage, done. But we still managed to stress about it somehow. I remember being terrified I'd step on my date's dress or forget how to dance or just, I don't know, somehow mess up this supposedly perfect night.
But did the night turn out okay?
Actually, yeah, it was really fun. All that worry for nothing. Though I do remember the music being questionable. A lot of early 2000s pop that seemed cool at the time, but now makes me cringe a little.
Early 2000s music hits different now, doesn't it? But speaking of things that seemed different then, can we talk more about teachers for a minute? Because some of them really made such a huge impact. Like you mentioned Mrs. Patterson earlier. Were there other teachers who stuck with you?
Oh, definitely. There was this one gym teacher, Coach Martinez, who was He was tough, but fair. I was never athletic, but he never made me feel bad about it. He'd always say, it's not about being the best. It's about getting better than you were yesterday. Sounds cheesy, but it actually really helped my confidence.
That's so sweet. I love teachers like that. For me, it was Ms. Chen, my sophomore art teacher. I was going through kind of a rough patch that year. You know how sophomore year can be. Everything feels dramatic and overwhelming. And she saw that I was struggling and made art class this safe space where I could just create and not worry about anything else.
Teachers like that are the best. They really do make such a difference. But what's crazy to think about? How different school is now with all the technology. Like, we didn't have smartphones or social media we barely had reliable internet half the time.
Oh my God, yes. Do you remember having to actually go to the library to do research? Like with actual books and encyclopedias. And if you wanted to talk to your friends after school, you had to call their house phone and hope their parents didn't answer.
The house phone. Oh man, that was always so awkward. Hi, Mrs. Johnson. Is Sarah there? And then you'd have to make small talk while they went to get her. And don't even get me started on researching for papers. I spent so many hours in the library flipping through card catalogs and hoping someone hadn't already checked out the one book I needed.
Card catalogs. I forgot about those. But you know what's interesting? I think maybe friendships were different back then. Like, you couldn't just text someone constantly throughout the day. You had to actually make plans and stick to them. And if someone wasn't home when you called, that was just it. You'd try again later.
That's perfect. Well, I think that's a pretty good place to end. Thanks for taking this little trip down memory lane with us, everyone. It's been fun reminiscing about the chaos of school days.
Definitely. And hey, if any of this brought back your own school memories, good or bad, we'd love to hear about them. You can reach us on social media or through our website.
And if you're still in school, hang in there. It might feel overwhelming now, but trust me, you'll miss some parts of it later.
But not math homework. You definitely won't miss that.
Speak for yourself. Thanks for listening to Everyday English Lounge. I'm Avery.
And I'm Chloe. We'll catch you next time.